De tentoonstelling over de derde industriële revolutie op de Rotterdamse RDM-werf is koren op de molen van econoom en schrijver Jeremy Rifkin. Hij gelooft in een nieuwe economische transitie, gedreven door duurzame energie en internettechnologie. Rifkin geeft onder andere advies aan de Europese Unie, de Duitse regering en sinds kort ook aan de Chinese overheid. We praten met hem over zijn laatste boek, The Zero Marginal Cost Society, waarin het kapitalisme zoals we dat kennen een veel kleinere rol gaat spelen volgens Rifkin. So Mr. Rifkin, we are here in Rotterdam on an exhibition on the third industrial revolution. What is that, a third industrial revolution?
Oh, it's music to my ears. We've spent the last 14 years, I have, with the European Union developing this third industrial revolution vision and game plan for Europe. It's now our formal plan. And now in China, it's become the plan for China as well. So we're quite enthusiastic about the possibilities. Let me put this in context. All the great economic revolutions in history, they share a common denominator. At a certain moment of time, new communication technologies emerge to more efficiently manage economic activity. They converge with new sources of energy to more efficiently power economic activity. And they in turn converge with new sources of transportation to more efficiently move economic activity. Common sense, but not in the history books, but that's actually the way economic activity moves. Let me give you two quick examples. The 19th century first industrial revolution, 20th century second industrial revolution. In the first industrial revolution, we moved from manual printing to steam power printing. Big leap forward. We introduced the telegraph. Those communication technologies converged in England with cheap coal, powered by steam engines, and then the Brits came up with locomotives on national rail systems. We created a first industrial revolution. In the 20th century, another convergence of communication, energy, and transport, second industrial revolution, centralized electricity, the telephone, radio and television, became the communication technologies that converged with cheap oil in Texas oil wells, powered by internal combustion engines, and then Henry Ford introduced cars, buses, and trucks on national road systems. I know you do shows all the time, and all the business people in the Netherlands say, why is GDP slowing? Why is the economy slowing? Why is unemployment staying high? It's because we have maxed out what we can get from that second industrial revolution communication, energy, and transport system. What I'm saying now is we are now on the cusp of a new third industrial revolution, a new convergence of communication, energy, and transport. The internet, communication internet we all use, is converging with a nascent digitalized renewable energy internet and a fledgling automated GPS-guided and soon driverless auto transport and logistics internet to create what we call an Internet of Things. 3 internets, a super internet, and big data is being constantly channeled through these 3 internets from sensors all over the society. Smart homes have sensors in retail stores and warehouses, and we're sending all that data back. What this means is that anyone in the business community, anyone in their home, can go up on this emerging internet right now, mine the big data that you're interested in, create your own analytics and algorithms, increase your productivity and reduce your marginal costs, and guess what? The entry is to create more capitalist businesses in the market, but some of the marginal costs will go to zero, meaning you can begin to produce and share for each other on a commons. So what's happening is capitalism is giving birth to a new economic system called the sharing economy on the collaborative commons. First new economic system since capitalism and socialism. And so to the extent that capitalism nurtures its baby, lets it grow and breathe, we're going to be living in 2 economic systems side by side in the next 25 years. Part capitalist market, part collaborative commons. We're already seeing it.
Shall we look at some examples?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So this zero marginal cost phenomena, this has already disrupted whole industries, as you know.
Music, for example.
Well, sure, we have hundreds of millions of young people on the communication internet producing and sharing their own music, their own videos on YouTube, their own knowledge on Wikipedia, their own news blogs. All of that's near zero marginal cost on the global collaborative commons.
This is a turbine that you can put on your home, on your office, and that's what you call consumers become prosumers,
That's right. We have a generation now. Let's take a look at Germany. I've been working with the Chancellor since she came in. We're now 27% green electricity, solar and wind in Germany. We're heading to 35% by 2020. The fixed cost of solar and wind are on an exponential curve like computer chips. You know, a solar watt used to cost about $68 to produce in the 70s. It's 66 cents today. Same with wind. Yes. The fixed prices are going down, but in Germany, Once you put these wind turbines on and the solar panels, you pay the fixed cost, the marginal cost is zero. The sun doesn't send a bill. The wind doesn't send a bill.
Is that true, Mr. Rifkin? Because on the other hand, you still need the maintenance. You need...
Yeah, you have to maintain them, but that's very low marginal cost once you put in the infrastructure. The issue here in Germany is now there are 5 pillars to this energy internet. You put in the feed-in tariffs so you can get early adoption, premium for extending grid, wind and sun back to the grid. Then you have to convert all your buildings to micro power plants and retrofit them, put on the installations of wind and solar. Then you have to put in storage. If you don't store them, these are intermittent energies, you need them when you need them, not when the wind decides to blow. So you put in storage and then set up advanced meters so everyone has a little digitalized energy internet and you're in business. So in Germany, we're heading now to an era in Germany where once the infrastructure's in the next year or two, next few years, Germany is going to be producing energy at near zero marginal cost. The sun, the wind, the geothermal heat, it's free. You just have to maintain the infrastructure at low cost. So just like young people are producing and sharing their own virtual goods, entertainment, information, news, at near zero marginal cost on the communication internet, now wind, solar, geothermal, this is already happening in Germany, and now China picked up my last 2 books, the Chinese leadership, Premier Li. And in China, I've been there visiting, I was just there in Beijing with the leadership. China's just announced an $82 billion 4-year startup commitment to lay out an energy internet starting this year across China, so millions of Chinese can produce their own wind and solar.
Don't you think that in the end, the billions and billions of sensors makes it extremely complicated to maintain it, and that will have definitely monthly, I think the costs will rise because of the maintenance?
Well, let me say that both Cisco and General Electric have done long-term studies that are now out. Cisco says 14 trillion in savings just by 2020. GE says by 2025 half the economy is impacted. Since my book, The Zero Marginal Cost Society, came out last April, industries around the world are having meetings in their corporate boardrooms right now to decide how they begin to aggregate these energy internets and soon the transport and logistics internet the way the Alibabas and the Facebooks and the Twitters set up the commons for the communication internet. So capitalism isn't going to disappear. They're going to establish these internets and help service them, but it means that millions of us can then produce and share lots of other things together, and that disrupts old industries, but it creates these new aggregators. And now it's going to head to transport too. You have transport here?
Yeah, shall we go to transport?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay, let's go over there.
Okay.
To the BMW, the German BMW. Do you have a car yourself?
Oh, yeah, but I rarely use it. You know, I had a car for the last 14 years and it only has 30,000 miles on it.
But do you rent it out to other people?
No, not yet. I don't even use it much myself. But car sharing is quite interesting because, you know, we built the whole second industrial revolution, the whole global economy on the automobile. The problem is young people don't want to own. That's grandma and grandpa. That's ownership. We've got millions.
They don't want to own this one?
Well, it's interesting because millions of young people now, in the last 5 years, they're car sharing because they go up on the Internet of Things. So they have their smartphone, which connects them to a car sharing website, the communication internet. Immediately they're connected to the logistics internet, GPS guidance, and some driver who has a car within 3 minutes is there, they shake hands, they have a car drive, and then you pay by PayPal. For every car produced, 15 cars are eliminated from production because they're being shared. Now imagine this. A new study's just been done by the former Executive Vice President of General Motors, Larry Burns. It says we can eliminate 80% of these vehicles in cities. We have 1 billion vehicles using lots of the Earth's materials and polluting the planet with CO2 and climate change. This next generation, I guarantee you, they're all going to be getting access to mobility and sharing cars. Car ownership's an anomaly for the hobbyists. It's not going to come back. But what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate 80% of the cars, buses, and trucks in the world over the next generation. The other 20% of those vehicles, they're going to be shared. They're going to be electric and fuel cell running on near zero marginal cost renewable energy, and they're going to be printed. It's all right here. So what we have here is several million young people, hobbyists, small startup companies, nonprofits, and co-ops. They are using open source software because this generation is sharing on the collaborative commons, no copyrights, all copyleft, all free.
Do you agree?
And what's interesting is they're infofacturing, not manufacturing. And you know what they're using for their filament? They're using garbage. Recycled plastic, recycled paper, recycled metal objects from around the neighborhood, and they're melting them down, and the 3D printing software creates the product. And so they're in a circular economy. They are using so little materials, and they're all recycled materials.
But it sounds really like a great vision, but on the other hand, we are talking about this for years. And I've come to these exhibitions for years, and I see this, but we don't get any further, it seems.
No, it's moving very quickly. There was a global conference in Barcelona that we held with 1,000 of cooperatives around the world that are doing fabrication labs. It's going to get much more scaled up because it's just the early, you know what it's like? It's like the early software movement, where there are only a few geeks like Bill Gates who knew how to do the software. But then a whole generation, the technology became cheap, the software became more accessible, and a whole generation now is savvy in producing much more sophisticated virtual goods. You give a 5-year-old kid a little smartphone, they're going to figure that out.
So, Mr. Rifkin, what will this mean for jobs? I mean, will we be gaming all day?
Not all day, but we're going to have more leisure. In the short run, everyone's asking, how do we employ the younger generation? The economy is slowing. Lay out the Internet of Things platform in every community for a third industrial revolution. The infrastructure layout is going to require millions of jobs, a lot of it labor intensive, semi-skilled, skilled, and professional. We have to transform the whole energy grid from fossil fuels and nuclear to renewable energy, lots of jobs. What's interesting about the Netherlands, it's always been an early starter. The Netherlands really was the first to move us into a market economy in the 1600s. The Netherlands has always been a pioneer in new technologies, and you have all the world-class industries here. Here in Rotterdam, you have the biggest port in Europe. So this city could be the hub for the Internet of Things platform, communication internet, energy internet, transport and logistics internet. And from this hub, all of Europe comes to Rotterdam, and Rotterdam sends out this Internet of Things platform across Europe. This would be a renaissance, not just for Rotterdam, but Netherlands has all the industries necessary to be a leader in laying down infrastructure here and then spreading that technology to the rest of Europe. But what has to happen now, political leaders in every region, business leaders, the civil society, the university communities all have to come together.
We can do it as well.
You can do it as well. That's what I'm saying. And the Netherlands can really move quick.
Thank you very much for this interview,
My pleasure.
Mr. Rifkin.
Thanks.